This is probably the hardest cooking challenge I have done yet. There's a lot of oil everywhere. Shiny glaze in the middle. Wow. Wow. Slicing up my sourdough bread. Once that's done, I'm gonna saute the mushrooms and the tomatoes. Putting in 2 mushrooms, whole mushrooms. He did say not to slice them up. Also putting in my vine tomatoes, keeping them on the vine. And now I can get started on the eggs. Over here in my saucepan, 3 eggs. Also a knob of butter. I haven't started the heat yet. I haven't beaten them in together because that's what Gordon Ramsay said that you do not want to do. This is it. This is the most critical part. Putting this over the heat now, and I'm just gonna keep stirring and do the on-off thing. Gonna get this right. Heat it in. There isn't an exact time frame. I'm just gonna eyeball this. Once it starts getting a little creamier, off the heat, back on. This is pretty nerve-wracking, you guys. On and off, on and off. Oh my God. I believe this is the part where I add the creme fraiche, which will help bring the temperature back down. And that is in. The chives are supposed to make this sexier, and based on what I'm smelling, I feel like that's true. All right, so the eggs are now done. I'm gonna go grab my bread, which has been toasted, and plate everything up. First things first is the bread. Then I'm gonna put my mushrooms, the vine tomatoes, drizzle a little bit of olive oil, putting the eggs on. So here we are. This is Gordon Ramsay's definition of a perfect breakfast. I really hope I didn't fail. Oh my God, I'm like salivating. This is incredible. It really is super, super fluffy. The sourdough also has this robust flavor to it, and paired with the creaminess of the eggs and the fragrance of the chives, everything just like comes together. I feel like I'm eating at a really fancy hotel. I'm also going to give the mushroom and tomatoes a try. I really can't get over this egg though. Breakfast was pretty incredible, but now I am ready to start making some lunch. I am planning on making Chef Gordon Ramsay's famous chicken parm recipe. Cut it in half so then it can double in size. So Chef Gordon actually uses a rolling pin and some parchment paper to roll out his chicken breasts until they're thin and even. Put it on here, cover it up with the other half, and roll it. I am trying real hard here. Well, the good thing is, here's what we have. It does look a lot thinner, which is nice. I can see why it's useful. Now we have it thinned out, and it is ready to be breaded. We're gonna spice it up the way he did. Adding in some salt and pepper, a little bit of smoked paprika, and then some Parmesan cheese. Generous portion right there. I'm gonna mix this in together. I can smell how good this is going to be already. I'm gonna start off by taking my chicken and just covering it with flour, and move to our egg wash and just drown it in the panko breadcrumb mixture. This can ensure that it's going to be very crispy. Once I am 100% sure that this is completely coated, we are going to use that parchment paper rolling method again to kind of press this into the chicken. So I'm gonna throw this into the pot right now. Definitely a lot of things going on at the same time, but on the other side here, I am going to start frying up my chicken. Because he uses grapeseed oil, I am also going to be using grapeseed oil. Giving me some nice sizzling sounds. He also specifically mentioned 2.5 minutes on each side, so I am timing it on my phone. Around when there's like 30 seconds left, I'm gonna add some butter in because he says it helps make the color an even nicer golden brown. This color is amazing. It is this beautiful golden color. I love it. Smell the cheese, the butter, and okay, let me focus again. It is so gorgeous. We're going to put in 2 big heapfuls of marinara sauce, layer on my mozzarella cheese, salt and pepper. And I'm gonna pop this in the oven just to let the cheese melt a little bit. It is a little tricky trying to do everything all at once, but I have my spaghetti also ready now. Season it with some olive oil again, salt and pepper, just a tablespoon of tomato sauce because you don't wanna drown it in the sauce, freshly torn basil and parsley. I'm just gonna give this a gentle toss. I also boiled the broccoli rabe and sauteed them really quick. And now I pretty much have all the components ready. I just need to pull out the chicken parm, but I am ready to plate it up. First up is the broccoli rabe, a spoonful of marinara sauce, the chicken parm, which is a giant piece of meat. I don't have that tool that Gordon Ramsay had, but I do have my chopsticks. Put some sauce right on here again. Generous heaping of Parmesan. And there it is. This is Gordon Ramsay's chicken parm. It looks pretty awesome. Whew, I am so tired. I just need to sit down for a second. Let's see what this looks like if I cut into this chicken. I'm also really hungry, so I don't know if I'm biased, but this is really good. Remember how we put so much of that flavor in the breading? You really taste it. It's like perfectly seasoned, and then you still get that crisp from the breading as well, and the chicken isn't overcooked. You hear that crunch? I'm gonna eat a little bit of this broccoli rabe for health. Isn't too seasoned, so then it complements the taste of the chicken. Pasta going in. Chef Gordon Ramsay, what can I say? I have nothing else to say but praise. So what I'm going to attempt to make for dinner is Gordon Ramsay's beef Wellington recipe. So first things first, I'm going to season the beef. Also my tongs here, so I'm ready to do this. There's a lot of oil everywhere. Doing these sides as well. So here I have my beef fillet. What I need to do really quickly now is to brush on the English mustard. So now I'm gonna let this rest to a side and get started on the mushrooms. So I have a lot of mushrooms over here and I need to chop them all up. Just following the recipe and frying them until they lose some of that moisture. Now I can get to wrapping, starting with our Parma layer. Parma has a really strong smell, and according to what Chef Gordon Ramsay said, it helps to add a sort of lightness to the beef Wellington. There we go. I'm just adding some pepper. This is what my mushroom looks like right now. It almost looks like ground beef, but it smells really good. I'm going to spread a thin layer on there using the back of a spoon. Make sure this is all even. And then once that's done, it's time for me to put the meat back in here. Carefully, like so. Carefully lift this up. There we go. As tight as it can possibly go. Twisting the edges. Once this is looking tight, now I have to chill it in the fridge for 15 minutes. I've also gone ahead and rolled out my puff pastry. Now it's a matter of wrapping the puff pastry around those meat babies. Just go like this. All around it, like so. Fold this over. On the sides here, wrap this up again super tightly. It's like a giant sausage right now. You want it to look like this. I'm gonna let it rest again. It has been another 20 minutes. I have my chilled beef Wellington here. I'm gonna unwrap it now and then glaze it with the egg wash and also just carve out a pretty pattern on top. This is what he did, so I'm just mimicking his action. He said to pull it down, curve it lightly. Finally, just going to sprinkle on a bunch of salt. I'm going to be really careful about not overcooking this because Gordon Ramsay would not like that. He also doesn't like it too raw, so medium rare. Gonna aim for that. All right, popping this in the oven. All right, friends, here it is. My beef Wellington is out of the oven, and this is what it looks like. The color doesn't look as rich as the one that Chef Gordon Ramsay had, but it smells really good. I'm just a little nervous that it is overcooked. Oh boy. The juice is running out, but you guys, it is not overcooked. Oh my God. You can see the layers here of the puff pastry. Very exciting. This is how I've plated up my beef Wellington. I just served it up with some vegetables. The puff pastry got a little bit soggy, but I think for a first attempt, I am pretty happy. And now to taste it. So cheers, and I just love steak, so obviously I knew I was gonna love this going into it, but I also like how the addition of the puff pastry adds that sort of butteriness to it. Like I feel like I'm eating a savory pie, which is essentially what this is. Also the mushroom in here, it definitely adds a nice like umami flavor to it. I was wondering why there was like a slight savory kick in there. It's because of the Parma ham, I totally forgot. And the meat, because it was seared first and then put in the oven, it's like super tender. I think there's a lot of things I learned this time that I would probably apply to when I try to make it next time to make it even better. So I'm gonna finish up dinner and then I'm gonna end the day off with a very nice chocolate dessert. I'm gonna be making Chef Gordon Ramsay's chocolate donut recipe, where we'll be making donuts from scratch. So the first thing he did was to melt the milk and the sugar together in a saucepan. Heat it up, just making sure that the sugar is dissolved and the milk is like warm to touch. While I'm waiting for the milk to warm up, I'm just crumbling up my yeast. And I'm gonna add half of the milk now to the yeast to help it activate. Chef Gordon was stirring this vigorously, so I'm also going to stir this vigorously. That's our yeast mixture. In my remaining milk, I'm going to add the butter and bring this back over to the stovetop. So this is supposed to give our dough a bit of silkiness. Everything is better with butter. All right, our butter's been melted. I am going to prep the dry ingredients. Just have some flour here and we're gonna sift it through. Can't forget about the salt. Add in my egg yolks. And then I'm gonna add in this milk and butter mixture, which smells super creamy. Now I can also add in my yeast mixture. He did say that you want to be careful and not overmix this. We're looking for something stretchy, so I think this is good. We're just trying to pull and fold it into itself. This is pretty much just kneading. Around when it looks like this is when I'm going to put it now in a bowl and cover it up with cling film. So it's been around 45 minutes. My dough is still proofing on the side. It's looking pretty good, but I think I'm gonna get started on the chocolate filling. Over here in a saucepan, I'm just adding in some heavy cream. Then I'm also adding in some honey for flavor. Bringing it over to the stove top and heating it gently. This is what we're gonna use to melt the dark chocolate, which I'm going to chop up super quick. Here's all my chopped chocolate. Now I'm just gonna add in the butter. Now I have my very, very warm honey cream, so I'm gonna pour it into our chocolate butter mixture. It smells so good. Honey and the chocolate and the butter. Forget about the donut. I can just have this filling. You can see how that butter too has given it that like beautiful shine. Whisk it gently to make it a little lighter and more aerated, as Chef Gordon said. You can see these like beautiful chocolate ribbons. I'm gonna pop it in the fridge so then it can cool down and set a little bit while we start working on the donut dough again. All right, you guys, I gotta show you this dough because look at how big it is now. Remember when I put it in, we only had that small little dough baby. Now it is a full-grown adult and it is so light. Very gently roll it out. Good. So now we're going to cut it up. The dough feels right. It feels very light, which is what I think Chef Gordon was aiming for. Now I'm just gonna place them all on this baking sheet because these babies need to proof for another 30 to 40 minutes. You can see that it's almost doubled in volume again. Now I'm gonna heat up the oil in my pan so I can deep fry them. It's a little scary doing this with one hand. I think now we're ready to flip. And it is this beautiful golden brown, looking good. You know it's good when it feels hollow, so I'm gonna take these out. Once I have these poofy little pillows that are very hot, I'm gonna toss them in the sugar, just coat them around. It's this beautifully sugared donut. Wow, this looks like, I feel like I'm at like a fair. Honestly, with how it looks right now, I'm ready to just eat it as is. This is not done. We're actually gonna pipe the chocolate in here. Fill it up with this chocolate. You can feel the donut getting heavier. This is now a chocolate bomb. Here is the beautiful chocolate donut. This dessert is finally done. This is my last meal of today and I cannot wait to tuck in. So I'm gonna open one up. Look at this ooey gooey center. Isn't that incredible? Shiny glaze in the middle. Wow. Wow. It has a very like light and airy texture. To pair that with the chocolate center in the middle, it's almost like eating a lava cake, but in donut form. This honestly tastes like something from a fancy bakery. So thank you, Gordon Ramsay, for making this possible. I am truly blown away. The past 24 hours really have been incredible. I also learned a lot. I feel like I'm experiencing meals from a fancy restaurant from the comforts of my own home.